or something. And their voice changed in timbre before their body made the gesture to signify the meaning of the word. And there's a good book called The Spell of the Senses, David Apeiron, about how before language is written down, language is by the thousands of human cultures. It's tied to the acoustic ecology, and so some cultures even have a listening language. In other cultures, they use hand gestures and whatever. And the older languages, the more musical it is. This is called music language. And so, if you study African music like John Chernoff, he is a University of Chicago musicologist, and he studied drumming in West Africa. And so he tied this to existential philosophy in the West. And like with Nietzsche, he's trying to figure out the meaning of perseverance. But you really have to realize that Pythagorean philosophy is from Egypt and Africa, and Asian philosophies are from Africa as well. And we're all really, really African. And all human cultures use the octave, the fifth and the fourth. But this gets covered up because we learn music assuming it's from Western math, when in fact the opposite is the truth. So you have all these music theory channels, and they're teaching Western music theory, but they're assuming that it's from Western science, when in fact music theory created Western science. And so John Chernoff, his teachers, drummers, the real secret of music is the space. They're listening to the silence between the notes. And we're talking about volumes. And so, as I said before, you have syncopated time, which switches time to the right brain dominance. Because even frogs use left brain dominance when they use sound in ecology. before they developed Western civilization with phonetic language and logic. But in fact, it's the other way around. The left brain is cut off from the right brain because the left side vagus nerve doesn't connect to the right side. And so when we're speed reading, we're listening to the concepts, to the meaning, which is based on frequency, and it's right brain dominant. And so we don't listen based on timing of the words as phonemes. But we listen as based on pitch and phase change. And so this is proven with the Bouba-Kiki effect that you hear a sound before you see the visual phonetic meaning. So a round sound is spelled as an O, and a sharp sound is spelled as a V or a K or something. But people subconsciously are constantly processing sounds that way. And so, for example, there's a book called Haunting Melody. And what the psychologist realized in Vienna, he was a theater Reich, he has also a book called The Third Ear, is that music is a bridge to your subconscious. So when you suddenly get a song in your head, but you can't remember the words, and so you'll remember the frequency first, and the song will be directly tied to your subconscious emotions and memories that are triggered by association, in your current time. And then later on, you'll remember the words, and that will reveal what your subconscious was trying to tell you. And so music is actually a bridge to what they call yoga superconsciousness, which would be like your subconscious is being processed in real time at the speed of light. So we can listen to the source of light, which is superluminal, and then we'll actually have like precognitive visions based on the deep listening process. And so like this is what psychedelics reveal to people also, is that like the sound is listening to us and guiding us for the future. Westerners, our left brain ego, we don't want to give up that sense of control. And so if somebody does a really strong psychedelic, they'll hear this loud Om sound from their heart. And the non-Western yoga masters say this Om sound is actually everywhere. They can hear it as the secret source of the universe. And that's called the conversion of Jing to Shen. And so you're by Master Nonbeing Emptiness. He's a bestseller in China as a Chang master, full lotus yoga master. And so in Buddhism, it's called the inner ear method. And in science, they know this as proprioception, which is like your sixth sense. And it's based on ultrasound. And so in a quiet room, we can actually listen to a sound that's smaller than the diameter of an atom. So we're triggering based on the phase coherence of the right and left ear. It's a superluminal quantum coherence that's faster than science can convert into a spatial measurement of time that's linear. And this is why meditation is called the highest technology of all technologies in Qigong in China, is because science is limited to relativity at the speed of light, and so it has to make linear causality measurements, whereas if you're just listening, you can access a wormhole of the emptiness so that you're achieving quantum non-locality or entanglement, which then enables quantum information to be transported from the future into the past as visions of light. But what's doing it is a direct infinity inversion of time and frequency. So zero and infinity are no longer materialistic spatial measurements dependent on left brain dominance and right hand technology, but rather the right brain is able to access the fifth dimension that can never be seen. And so the future and the past are then overlapping at the speed of light. Thanks. Bye.